Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the MAP Talk Show. So wonderful to have you with us. And you tonight are part of history. When Glenn produced his first book, it was called My History in the Making. And for the last 22 years, many of us have been making history. And tonight is one of those nights. And this is the 52nd show of the MAP Talk Show. And we put together a series of snippets from all of the shows that have been here before. And I know that it's going to be exciting. You're in for a wonderful time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy it. And I'll see you on the other side as I introduce the panel.
I'm just so excited about the year 2022 and even more excited that you are joining me this evening. And tonight we're going to have a wonderful panel discussion afterwards led by Peter Darrell all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. And I believe that we are living for such a time as this. For the past 18 months, the world has been preparing for a new era. And the new era is, I believe, the era of purpose. Life without purpose is death. And for those of you who have been part of Map for Life for some time, you will know that our purpose or our mission is to make life purposeful. So if life without purpose is death, then our mission is to make people come alive. And I feel that 2022 is going to be a year that people come alive, that people connect with purpose. It is not dependent on your age. I believe that whatever age you are, when you connect with your purpose, it's going to ignite something inside of you that nothing else can.
One of the rules that I live by is that each morning I've got to get up and light the campfire, and for me it's going through that routine to set the tone of the day.
Lost time is never found again. It's not about having time, it's about making time. Time and tide wait for no man.
My life has been filled with terrible misfortune, most of which never happened.
Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And I just wonder how many people are working in environments that are not aligned with their purpose. And as a consequence, they are feeling the effects of abuse because they're being used for someone else's purpose and not pursuing the purpose that they were born to pursue.
We are people of purpose. We are people on a mission. And we must say every day, I must make the most of my engagement. I must make the most of my mission.
You know, when you start waking up, you start kindling that little bit of a fire in you. You start with a little flame. And when you kindle that little flame and you start gaining knowledge and you start learning from others and your experience grows, that's putting wood onto the fire. You no longer have a flame. You have a roaring blaze inside you. So wake up.
Recognize that purpose is inbuilt, not inherited. Don't confuse profession with purpose. Profession is what you do. Purpose is why you do it. And so when we look at purpose, it's the very reason, it's the essence of life.
I'm saying that absolutely everything was created with a gift inside it already. A gift has the inherent capacity to fulfill a function that meets a need, whether it's in society, in the world, or in creation. Okay. Your gift must fulfill a need for someone or something.
So I want to start with a quote from a movie that my mom and I love to watch, and it's called Letters to Juliet. And one of the letters says the following: "Dear Claire, what and if are two words as non-threatening as words can be. But put them together side by side, and they have the power to haunt you for the rest of your life. What if? What if?" Well, I have got two non-threatening words of my own: not and yet. Seemingly contradictory words, but once they're put together, they have the power to fool you and those around you into thinking that you are going somewhere when all you are doing is staying put.
Purpose, or he said your future, does not lie ahead of you, it is within you. We can only discover our true purpose. And the reason I say discover your true purpose is because your purpose preceded your creation.
This, as we speak, in this very moment, this is now. Let it not stifle your presence in this very moment. Don't get caught up by what's going to happen tomorrow or what happened yesterday or what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes, but be in the now. And I think
Ferris says in his book, true success isn't so much about being talent as it is about what you do with the talent. It's not about the size of the house, the make of the car. It's about how we recognize and actualize our unique gifts.
You did not come to earth for yourself. The gift inside you is for someone else. Your goal is to find the gift and give it out.
Or rather, the comfort zone is that place where people who simply exist live. Beyond the comfort zone is the place where people who really live exist.
I mean, time is an illusion. Time is a curse. Time is all these things and worse. But our time is now. Yes, our time is now. Let us sing before our time runs out.
The software of our lives is our attitude. The software of our lives is our mental attitude, our emotional life, the emotional aspects of our life. We need to be ready to say, I must make the most of I must.
Again.
We need to be.
You know, when you start waking up, you're so excited, you're filled with energy. And you know, when you're excited, guess what happens to the people around you? They all get excited.
Not yet might appear active in its insinuation of preparation, but not yet is inactive. It's not paused, it's stopped, it's stagnant, it's stuck.
Says time is deadly when you're sad. Time is endless when you're in pain. Time is long when you feel bored. Time is fast when you are late. Time is short when you are happy. Every time is determined by our feelings and your psychological conditions and not by clocks. So don't be a slave of time.
I think we are the real Map Cafe, real as in results, encouragement, and accountability, and how we leverage off one another. And I think it's important to come along to evenings like this, so that we can get that, and we can feed off one another.
I want us to re-energize our desire for our mission. We are people on a mission. And unless we take the decision to proclaim, to declare, we said a good decision is not taken once and for all. A good decision is taken once every day. And that is why we can persevere till the end, 20 years on a mission in Map for Life, and we'll still be there.
You know, think about it. Whose validation are you seeking? Remember that the people in your immediate circle might not always be in your corner. And you are special. You deserve to be around special people. Don't go with the flow. Be unique. Stand out.
What gets you up in the morning? Gets you really excited? Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? What can I do? Where am I going? Now, here's the fascinating thing to me. I started looking at Map for Life and applying the principles of Map for Life. And if I take the 5-step methodology behind Map for Life, it fits in with those questions.
If you are a design, do not resign before the world can see the sign of your engagement. We know that in Map for Life, our mission is not to be successful. Our mission, if we were to be successful, our mission is making the world to find their purpose and use a tool that can guide us to change our situation.
My hope is that we can begin to create the habit of taking action, that we will stop fearing failure, but begin to seek it out, that we will own the motto, the faster I fail, the quicker I learn, the sooner I will succeed. Every failure is the result, rather, of successfully taking action to answer your what if.
What you perceive as precious is not actually time, but it's that one moment, that now.
Remember, W is your wellness. You are well. A is for awareness. It's for action. K is for kindle, for lightening that spirit within you. E is get excited, raise your energy levels. You are unique. And P, you have a purpose.
If time, money, and skill were not an issue, where would you be right now? What would you be doing?
That maybe the key is that our perspective on failure needs to shift. So based on that statement of if you fail fast, you learn quicker, then failure is not something to be feared, but something to expect and, dare I say, almost want and seek out. For it is at those points of failure that we learn. And the faster we fail, the quicker we learn. And if our desire is to grow and learn, then we can answer that question of what if with action, with doing it, with done it. That action then leads to learning and learning to growing towards our purpose and our dream. But
please don't describe. Circumstances cannot dictate your vision, but your vision can dominate the circumstance. So don't describe your circumstance. Stop describing your situation, but start subscribing to your destination. There is a destination for you. And
we almost have a freedom in not seeing failure as this defining factor of whether or not you're capable of following your dreams, but rather as something that is necessary in the process towards realizing your purpose. Removing fear in this way allows you to take action.
The future. If you want to start working on your dreams, there's no better time than now.
My prayer for you this year is that this is going to be your year of purpose. This is going to be a year when you connect with your passion. This is going to be a year when you start getting a pulse that beats or pulsates rather with life, Because when you connect with purpose, you in fact become alive. Join us every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, same time, same place. And just after this ad or brief ad, you will be introduced to the panel led by Peter Darrell. Good night.
Wasn't that exciting? For me, one of the exciting things was seeing comments come through on my screen and to see that we've got people from all around the world tuned in, watching tonight. I saw Dr. Yona from Tanzania passing comment. I saw comments from Malawi, comments from Ireland, and it's so fantastic. Today, MAP is represented in something like 107 countries around the world, and we really have started to map the world and make a difference in the world. And it was so wonderful. And tonight, I'm just looking forward to chatting with the panel. And I'd like to just call in Joanne as the first one from the panel. And I just, I thought she was so wonderful on that little snippet there. And she spoke about fear of failure and how we need to rephrase failure. And she spoke in her original talk, she spoke about fear and faith. But I love the way she spoke about we need to reimagine failure. And I was just looking at something from Robin Sharma, and he spoke about nothing fails like success. And he went off as far as to say, success actually breeds complacency, inefficiency, and worst of all, arrogance. So, Jan, would you like to just add to that, just in line with what you'd said earlier?
Yeah, that's wow. I haven't heard that before, and I think that captures it so well. I think it's the old story of when you arrive at something, you can sometimes feel almost deflated and sort of like, oh, is this it? And there's kind of a joy and an excitement in pursuing something, and wanting to get to something. And I think that's why it's so important that our purpose is our why, because it's something that doesn't end. It's something that always continues. It's something that you can continually pursue and take action for. And so you don't get to that place of completely stagnation or being stuck or not wanting, feeling like you are either that you've arrived and there's nothing, so you sort of feel that you failed, or that you haven't got what you thought you wanted. So I think that's quite an exciting thing that I just thought when you said that, is that our purpose, having that why, is something that can keep driving us and keep us going and keep us taking action, and keep us having moments of courage, and to develop that habit, that continual habit of taking action no matter what our fear is.
Wonderful, yeah. I also thought that success puts us into that comfort zone, and we need to be challenging that comfort zone all the time. But we need to rephrase how we see failure. And fear. Now, my next one on the panel is Heather, and I want to know whether Heather is awake. So, Heather, are you awake?
Most definitely.
Would you like to just expand a little more on being awake and what it means to you?
I think a lot of times people are just going through life as though they're walking through a dream, not living the dream, not planning for the dream. I think we just become so monotonous with daily tasks that we forget that we can actually change things, that we can actually create, and that there's so much that we can do if we just changed our paradigms, changed our habits, and used the tools that we have available to us.
How's Map for Life awakened you? And what has awakened in you?
Well, the first thing it does, it helps me monitor my daily tasks. It's changed my to-do list into a today list, because you can reflect. And on every day, there's a list of habits. You can monitor your progress. So it's a fantastic tool that if you want to change your habits, that you can use. In fact, you must use it, because a lot of times the intent is there to change the habit. And if you don't open your book, your blueprint, your Map for Life book, to see what the progress is that you've done, you can actually forget that you were supposed to do something different on that particular day. So an example, I want to walk 10,000 steps a day, and I log my progress every single day to see how I'm doing. Am I reaching my goal? If I'm not reaching my goal, where can I turn? Why didn't I reach my goal? There's pages even to write your reflections down. So just use the tools that are available.
Wonderful. As I hear you talk about action, I just think I'd like to hear what Manisha's got to say about it, because I regard Manisha as our real action lady of all of the mappers. To me, she is almost the most dedicated action lady. And I'd just love to hear your thoughts on it and what you thought of it.
I was actually thinking about that this week, and I was thinking like this month is time for me to take massive, meaningful action. And why I thought about that is because, you know, it's good to have intentions and powerful intentions, and usually I segment my day and I set an intention for each segment. But I realized that it's so easy to set an intention, but true success is intention backed up with aligned action and meaningful action. So yes, I do consider myself an action taker, and I think it's largely due to the Map for Life and setting goals in each area. You know, it's just helped me balance everything, and even if it's taking one small step, you know, it has to be a daily part, you know. And I always talk about the fitness journey, and movement is a massive part of it. And that's something that I do daily, which helps me, not just the physical movement, but helps me take action in every single area.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Can you cite just one of your greatest successes brought about by the massive action? You know, I just think of all of those competitions you've won, things like that. Is there one that you...
I'm just trying to think of one. Yeah, there's a few. There's the physical transformation, you know, which is dedication every single day. And usually it's working in segments of 12 weeks. And each time, I would say it's taken about a year, and I've lost about 30 kgs. And each time was after having a child. And so I think that physical transformation and the success, seeing it physically, I just transfer that onto business. I transfer that onto family. I transfer it onto spiritual. Because if you can see it in the one area, and that's what's so beautiful, then you just use the same technique and you just transfer it to the other areas.
Wonderful. Now, taking all this action takes time. And I'd like to hear what Terence has got to say about time and how we can use time to be an action person.
Hi, Peter. Thank you. Yeah, for those who know me, I'm fascinated with the concept of time, and influenced a lot by Eckhart Tolle's thinking on time, or his notion on time as time really being an illusion. And our colleague Marvin spoke earlier around time is now, and now is the time. So for me, it's all around the urgency of doing what you need to do when you need to do it. And again, it goes back to what Manisha said, where Map for Life comes in, is if it's documented as a goal and you have set yourself targets, then you use your time wisely. I think often, we just go through life without intentionally using our time to the best of our ability. And for me, a lot has to do with how one lives each and every moment. Because at the end of the day, that's the only aspect of time that you can impact. As Marvin so eloquently put it, it's now. So be productive, be present. That is my word for the month of June. Actually, is being present. So in every interaction that I have, I try and be as present as I possibly can. In this very moment that I'm speaking to you, to an audience, my mind is totally focused on the issue at hand, and that is my response to time. So I believe, we don't need to make this thing complicated. It's just about doing what you need to do when you need to do it, and to understand that the only place where you can make a difference is now. You can think about the future, you can think about the past, but there's nothing much you can do more than that in terms of action.
Terence, can I throw a big one at you when we're talking about time? And can I say, where does eternity fit into this discussion on time?
Yeah, wonderful question. Love it. Because again, our concept of time is birth, death, right? And I believe if you have that view of time, you live life in a certain way. But if you then understand and believe that beyond death is something more, i.e. eternity, that changes your whole perspective of how you live life now. Because it's not going to end when your coffin goes down or when you're cremated. It's not going to end when you die. So I love the book by John Bevere. He says, living or driven by eternity. And what he mentions in that book is that whatever you do now has an impact on eternity. So you better make sure you're doing the right things. If they have an impact they don't end at death. So yeah, I just love the whole concept of eternity, because then what it does, it makes life meaningful. It makes one have a goal, ultimate goal to aim for. Death isn't the end of things. There's a part of me that's going to continue beyond death into eternity, and that part of me is influenced and impacted by what I do now. So yeah, absolutely, eternity is so real, and it's I believe it needs to be part of our lives and part of our thinking, part of what influences us as we walk this 10 or another 10 if we're blessed. Yes, that's not where it ends. That's not where the story ends, that's for sure.
Wonderful. I hope we've got time just to take this a little further. But I'd like to bring Marvin in and say, Marvin, to talk about now. And just to add on to what Terence has said about time. So Marvin, would you like to just expand on the now concept?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Uncle Pete. So I'm actually reminded of the quote that I mentioned in the talk that I did, which speaks about time as not being precious at all, because it's actually an illusion. When you perceive, or what you perceive as precious, is not actually time, but it's one point out of time, which we call the now. That is what is precious. That moment is precious. The more we focus on time as in past and present, the more you miss on the now. So the most precious thing right now is the now. So let's be in the now. If you play
Carry on, Marvin.
If you play that back to what Terence was saying, the only time that we have that we can influence is the now. The only thing we have control over is the now. And I think if we're so consumed by what's going to happen tomorrow and what has happened in the past, you actually miss everything that is happening around you. You miss the opportunities that are waiting for you. You miss the feedback that either life is giving or people around you is giving, because you're kind of consumed in what's going to happen or what has happened, and you miss it all. And there is no better time than now.
Wonderful. And I think now's the time to bring in our panelists from Cairo. Murad, are you there? And I'd love to hear what you thought of the show tonight. And
yes, so which question should I be looking at now? Because there was
what struck you tonight? What stood out for you?
yeah. So basically, this year I started. What was new to me is that I have involved my dad in doing Map for Life. He's 81 years old, and what made me impressed is that seeing how even though different generations, that still Map for Life makes a difference in the lives of people from different ages, and that how he can, when we were doing the exercises together about what each area of life means, and that I still see like a decorated angle of how he sees the different areas of life. This was quite amazing for me. Other thing than that is that I'm actually now what made Map for Life made an impact is that I'm not a designer or a programmer, but I said I want to study making an app design so that Map for Life is I can automatically see it on my mobile, and in a blink of an eye I can see where I am in my progress, where I am when it comes to measuring how well I'm doing this day, how well I am committing to the actions and habits that I have planned, so to be accessible through an app.
Murad, what I really want to know, what is an 81-year-old, what is his big goal?
What is he has got to keep himself healthy, to stay on his spiritual life, and as well to maintain his connections with his friends. So he works hard to keep that alive.
Wonderful. And it's a wonderful example for all of us. What about youngsters? Have you got some youngsters on the program, and how do they relate to these aspects?
Well, in my program, I have people around the 30 years, and they are quite well to see how that, again, different generations have got, they still want to make a difference in their lives. They want to have a meaningful life. And most importantly, they want to see how well they are doing, how well they are progressing when it comes to the different areas in their life. Am I doing well spiritually? I'm doing well socially. So it seems that everybody has got this urge to know that they are adding meaning, that they are pursuing a purposeful life, and they are progressing day by day.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to hear the examples from young to old. Now, I'm not sure whether Ngwadi's on the panel or not. I know he was with us when we started off. And there you go, Ngwadi. I'd love to hear your comments on the show tonight. No, Ngwadi not there. Nothing coming through. I just like people's ideas on the question of purpose. And we spoke about that we're moving into the era of purpose. And any comments on that? Just jump in with comments on purpose, please.
Yeah, Peter, if I can go, I think we underestimate the need out there. I think we underestimate the need for people to have purpose. And what's so good about Map for Life is that we have a methodology, we have a tool, we have a process that we can enlighten people on how important it is to have purpose. Because I think everybody wants that, right? They're just not sure how to go about it. They need some guidance, some inspiration, some practical tools to take them from point A to point B. But I don't think anybody sets out to live meaningless lives. That's not the way we're wired. We're wired for purpose. And I love the analogy that a lot of my co-mappers here use tonight about the lighting of the fire. You yourself, Peter, use that often. All it takes is that spark. That spark of, you do have purpose, you are important, you are significant, etc. So I think generally we underestimate the need out there in the world, Peter.
I just happened to be looking as I was sort of sitting in my study here, getting ready for the show, and I picked up a couple of other books I've got on life coaching and that sort of thing. That I was blown away that I looked at 3 so-called experts on the subject, and none of them spoke about purpose. And when I look at Map for Life, almost that's what it's about. It's about purpose. And I think how important that is. And what an important aspect it is of our lives. Manisha, what do you say about purpose?
I think it's the guiding light. And if you have a clear purpose and there is clarity, then everything else becomes clear and you can carve a pathway toward it. So if you just think of a tunnel and then a light up ahead, and if everything is unclear, then that's when there's confusion. That's when you don't stick to your priorities. That's when you are fulfilling everyone else's purpose.
Yeah. Now, in the clip that we saw, Romeo, and I'm not sure whether I'm talking about Romeo, whether Romeo is from Canada or whether he's from Cameroon, but I think he was actually speaking to us from Canada, and he spoke about maximizing the must. And how do we maximize the must? Joanne, how do we maximize the must?
Gosh. I think that I love that when Romeo said that, making the most of the must. I think it's to do with what some have said already tonight, is that it's that daily habit. It's the small continual steps that we take. And that in itself also satisfies the journey towards the goal, and the journey within the purpose, is being able to take those steps, is knowing that there's clarity, and knowing that and feeding that flame and that fire within you, and being awake, as you said previously as well. I think the moment that we haven't written things down and we haven't plotted where we are, and we're not clear of where we're going or why we're doing what we're doing, we can find our day-to-day very disheartening and very disappointing. But the moment we have that clarity, and the moment we can do small things towards that, there's so much hope and excitement and joy in that. And then it becomes the making the most of that must, of that why, of that purpose. So that's what I would say.
Now you've introduced Heather, so it's Heather's turn to come in and talking about that, making the most of the waking up. Heather.
What we are living for and who we are living for. Okay, a lot of times people don't know what their purpose is, and they're searching for it. But while you're searching, it doesn't mean that you stand and you do nothing and you moan and you gripe and you complain and you justify. What you need to do while you are searching is do your best at whatever task you are doing, because ultimately, just think, who are you doing it for? Whose validation are you seeking? You got to be able to look yourself in the mirror every day. And if you use gratitude to start your day, if you wake up and you say, thank you, I'm alive, I woke up. You cannot go through the day thinking of, oh, not again, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. You should just be grateful that you have been given the opportunity to be there. And when you start going through your day with gratitude and focusing and knowing what you are working for, you know, everything else starts falling into place. You can see a purpose in every single day. Oh, now I know why I'm doing this. And it leads you to that greater uniqueness of you.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. Marvin, would you like to just put together what Heather said and bring it into the now?
Absolutely. I think it's important to make sure that the life that you're living is your life. The life that you're living is a life that's authentic you. It's not a copy of somebody else. It's not based on what other people say or want to do, or a picture from somewhere else, but rather by you being in touch with the now, it allows you to be in touch with you. When you make that connection with you, the real you, to find the purpose, to find the vision, it just happens. When you're consumed with, oh man, look at what happened yesterday, or, you know, look at what's going to happen tomorrow, you lose that moment where that spark that we spoke of would come alive. And when you find that spark, you got to fan it now. You can't fan it tomorrow or yesterday. You got to fan it now.
Yes.
So once you do that, the more you fan it, the brighter it becomes, the stronger it becomes. And you got to, what I would always encourage is being with people that are like-minded, people on the same sort of journey, on wanting to discover more of themselves and be more of themselves in this world. Map Cafes and the Map Group is exactly that. The one key differentiator of Map the key differentiator that Map brings versus other programs is the accountability part. The team that you're seeing here are the accountability people that you could depend on and will hold you accountable to you being you, to making sure that you're living in the now, to making sure that you are fanning that flame that's on the inside of you, to make sure that you're being real, to make sure that you are being the authentic you.
Wonderful, thank you. Murad, would you like to add to that?
Yes, absolutely. It's a matter of being plugged in a program where you are not simply, you have been taken away from the mindset of living to make a living and joining a world team where they are committed to find purpose, pursuing it. When I go into discussion with people that for the first time to hear about Map for Life, I kind of find that some already gave up on idea that there is something beyond living to make a living, and that we are quite lucky to find a group of people, to find the Map for Life, that actually there is more than life than just simply to living to make a living, and that we have to keep on reaching for more people that say, you know what, you make sense now life makes sense, and I'm happy to find people that makes me accountable to live a life of purpose. And purpose, you wouldn't, like in a day, overnight, you would find clarity of what your purpose is. It's actually a very dynamic statement, and it keeps on evolving and keeps maybe in a different age group. When you reach to a certain area of your life, it becomes more and more refined, maybe, but it's the same, it's serving the same core, but maybe in a different dress or a different form.
Wonderful, wonderful. Terence, Heather spoke about who is driving you, and who are you accounting to. And I just like your comments about the who question coupled with the eternity question. Would you like to?
Absolutely. That gets me very excited. Sorry, I just want to get in. The who is so important. I know there's a lot of books written on start with the why, etc. But my view is we actually need to start with the who. Understand who we are, what our identity is, who our creator is, where we come from, where we're going. Once we understand that, the others, I'm not going to say they're easy, but the why and the what follow almost naturally from that. But without an identity, you're just one of many. Okay, but if one understands one's uniqueness, what one is put here to do, in other words, one's purpose, it really changes, and it doesn't, as Murak said, happen overnight. It's taken me years to really get to the point where I am comfortable with who I am. I know who I am. I'm unique. I'm one of a kind. I'm the only one in the world that is as who I am. And that makes you so confident, because whatever you do, you're doing out of your own identity. So I think identity is absolutely critical as a starting point for all the other stuff then to build on, to understand what your why is, to understand what your purpose is, to understand, what you are meant to be. And identity is absolutely critical. And I'm still looking for a book that will give me more ideas on really, but the best book that I can think of is the Bible, right? Being a Christian. But I'm sure in other religions, there's other books as well that clearly spell out what your identity is. So it's no secret. You've just got to go out there and get whatever you're thinking in your mind as who you are, let that sink down to your heart. And once it sinks down to your heart, you then begin living it, because that's who you are and you know who you are. So anyway, I get really excited about identity, Peter. Thank you.
No, I just loved it. Thank you. And I thought a bit guilty throwing that question at you. I just see a comment come up on the screen. And I think it's Glenn saying, Terence, it's time for you to write that book now. And I had breakfast with Glenn this morning, and Glenn was challenged by somebody else who told Glenn it was the time to write the book now. So, Glenn, would you like to tell us what you're doing now?
Well, I think that was the beauty about having our morning accountability sessions, is that you get these little gems that you can share at appropriate moments. So I think maybe the message for me to write a book this morning was actually meant for Terence. So, Terence, sometimes a lot of people have asked me, have you read this book or have you read that book? And I feel guilty constantly because people seem to be so well read, and they mention authors I've never heard of. They talk about titles I haven't even discovered yet, or didn't even think there were such things. And one day I remember picking up a friend from the airport in Johannesburg, South Africa. And as we were returning to Pretoria, he asked me that question about, have you read? And I can't remember what the book was, but for the first time in my life, I thought, hang on, why ask people if they've read a book? Why not ask them, what have you written? And just as you've all been talking this evening and answering some of the questions that Peter has asked, you've done something absolutely amazing. And that is you've connected with your inner self, and you've withdrawn wisdom that you didn't know you had. And that's the power of writing. And I would really encourage each of you, those people watching this evening or watching this recording, just pick up a pen and begin to write. Because when you do, you're going to open a wellspring of information that's kind of wrapped up inside your heart that the world is waiting to hear, waiting to read, because your message can literally transform people's lives. And so I was challenged this morning to get out there and really overcome that feeling of, I'm not good enough to write about the subject. I don't think any author ever feels that they qualified on the subject. They become qualified through writing. And so remember this, that no author ever writes a book. You have to write the book to earn the title author. So maybe Terence and I need to start writing but it's not just for us. I think all of us need to begin to write, and let's write our message before it's too late, because this physical body that we have has a limit to the length of time it can spend here, and let's empty it out. Let's get all the stuff out from inside. Maybe I should stop there and hand back to the facilitator.
Wonderful, folk. And panel, thank you very much. I think it's been a wonderful evening, and I just hope the folk out there that you've enjoyed it. And I'm saying, folk, we'll be back at the same time, same place next week, and we look forward to seeing you. And we just say, make the most of the now and just do it. Good night.
Amen.
Good night.
Thank you, Peter.
Today, for me, today for you, today for each of us, is an opportunity and an invitation to step into a world of abundance where your life matters, where your vision makes a difference, where the world will know that once upon a time in the past there was a man or a woman who rose to the calling of God in their life and made the impact that they were designed to make. And you have that ability. Just die to self, surrender to Him, and become significant. I couldn't be more excited for you. I could not be more excited about the future, because every person that you equip to take that step of putting a plan together for their life, a plan that is aligned with the desires of their heart, those people, those children, young and old, are going to come alive, and they're going to cause a ripple that goes through time that impacts the lives of others. Make the choice today to live a life of significance.